Man, I just wanted to say I can go even further into this study of the body and what it has to do with everything. And what it has to do with is it has to do with somebody's somebody's head's going and it's really going on. Somebody's foot's going somebody's somebody's eyes going, what are you doing? Oh man. And you know that people snore because they don't understand rap music. You know, like I said, this is just a quick version of what I said before, and it's more of an emphasis on the fact that there is snoring, and it's always going on. Snoring is the reason why we are socks, and that our hands, our feet, and so are our feet. You know, these are also hands. You know, it's also why I can walk on 2 feet. But if I can do a handstand, also, if someone was looking at me while I was sleeping and told me, while I was snoring, what I mean, that I could walk on my hands doing a footstand, which isn't a headstand, but someone had to call it out. And that's what it's all about, is seeing the entrances and the exits and the vulnerability area, vulnerable area, where, you were sleeping and then you realize that, you were always sleeping when you were not paying attention, you know. I mean, when, you need privacy or you pray to God. That's sleeping. It's just like saying, that you're masturbating while you're speaking. It is also sleeping. Also not is also sleeping. It's like there's one thing here, and then there's one thing here. It's like, and with the breath control, what I've learned over all this time, from amount of time doing X thing, is that algebra kills people. But no, I mean, what I mean is, you know, um, there is a courtesy moment, and it is like the God moment. It's when you close your eyes and everything is closed up, and when it's closed up, air can blow on it, you know, and it should be protecting itself from what's outside of it, you know, and there's a time to, close your eyes, but you're always aware, of what's there, you know, but there's still the word where and a. And these things was what rap is about. But anyway, so, when you sleep, you should be wide awake. I don't think there should be anyone who goes to sleep and is unconscious. It's a waste of existence. But, only lyricism can teach you that. And it's just like, so right now I'm looking at the face and the fact that if we're a ball, or an orb-shaped person, then we have to have holes that have representative meanings. And we could say that we're head-shaped people, even though we have bodies, but we also have a body, but we can just focus ourselves on the head, and we know that the body, if it is a head, we can look at the rest of our body as the center of that head, And, anyway, so if you don't want anything to get in your head. You have to think of the obvious things that would be there and the obvious things that would be there, you know. And usually it's not going to be, a penis going in an asshole as a finger going in here or air getting in here. But it could be if someone doesn't like that, it is from a Christian point of view. Or if someone is from a scientific point of view, then it'd probably be something that isn't really nasty or gruesome, and it just looks completely ordinary and normal that I can't even pinpoint, which would be why I don't want extra earwax to be, solidifying here at a thicker, intense moment, have it, so there's a time to close these ears. There's a time to drive over the mountain. There's a time to take the air inside of here in your nostrils and push it using your tongue to push that way forwards. And to be able to push it and blow up like two airbags in your ears, It pushes everything out of it in here, And you can learn how that works and you can actually keep practicing it, you know. I can make that little drizzle sound. It's like screaming. It's like another muscle that I'm using. And that is pushing that, airbag in there, you know. It doesn't have to make that sound, but there's another little mini voice in there talking, so it's like, and then it shuts up when it's finished, and, then, so when the eyes are shut, you have to have a full way to look, which is, I think is pretty bonkers. It's pretty good to notice, is that when the eyes are closed and, they're fully not dead, and alive, you have to say that they look good closed at an angle. You can't just say, and close them and they just look good. You can't just, you have to make them have a set, it's like taking a photograph of this angle movement, this, or just anything that you can think of, that it would be, and it has to have some kind of shape to go with it, When this is closed, it has to say, these look good over here, that says the closed. And then when it's open, you have to say that these symbols, look good, when it's open, And basically the point of it is to understand how it works. Because if you don't understand how to look good when you're closed and open, and we're not saying closed or open or closed or open or closed this whole time, for you freaky people out there, that probably think of that. But it's just basically saying that, there's closed and there's open, and there's also closed nose. Nothing comes in this nose. And then there's times when it's open. And for me, I'd probably pick something else besides, sterile, breathe out, and then open, breathe in, you could have something, to breathe. It's like why people go outside and smoke cigarettes when they're at work eating food, They want a cigarette, they don't want to smell the food, or they don't want to look at something that, looks bad, or they want to intensify it, or whatever they want to do, intensify it. But, the point is that there's a time to have it closed and time to have it open. And, there is no time in between when there is these two, and that's all that you're doing, And, there is an or part. You could say, my eyes are closed and kind of open, but it has to have direction. It has to have, for me, I like to fortify my voice, and, then your mouth, has a, closed and open, and, you have to learn how to kind of seal out all of these areas, until, you don't like kind of experiment and try to figure out some kind of insane way to do it to where, your ears are closed, your eyes are closed, your mouth are closed, your eyeballs are closed, and even, your skin pores that make those little acne pimples, are also open or closed. Like figure out how to pinpoint those little things. I mean, I got picked on in school because I didn't decide whether I was open or closed, and, I did, but I still wasn't sure because there's not anything about it, I mean, acne, and like little tiny little mini, little spots, are basically, just little pimples, but it is definitely, open and closed. This is a pore. It was, it's something you can understand, you know, and you got to learn basically how to close all those out, and when you speak, you have to be able to take all the words that are the closed words and put them in one group. And then you have to take all of the words that are in the open close, like the open, like, and you have to put those in another group. And then that way you kind of have a binary code, so then you can say like, I mean, this is kind of stupid, but I don't know why this is still here, but it is hydrogen peroxide. And I know that it doesn't really smell bad, but if I was feeling kind of nasty, I mean, as a remedy, I think that I would put in the remedy section, I'd say peroxide. Peroxide goes in my ear, could clear it out and clean it. I don't think it would hurt it. I could also put it in my throat and gargle with it. I could take peroxide and, I could, put it on a cut. Makes it feel better, looks a little bit better. I can smell it. It smells a little bit better, for me, And I could say that that is when it is open, when the cut is open. I could say, when my eyes are open, when it's open or closed, I mean, when there's the, everything gets hurt, everything falls. And, you can always just take, a metaphor, and you could say that, when I'm open, I'm vulnerable. When I'm closed, I'm closed out. You could say, and that way you're kind of fortified, and then you can use words, that, that instead of putting stuff in there like, a bag of chips and somebody getting sick, and that's someone's open words if they don't know how to artistically communicate their linguistics, as one person, part of a group of people, I mean, part of the whole society. I mean, you have to be able to do something good, and so, I use peroxide, and then I'd find words next to it to use, peroxide, water, I know, there's two of them, two ahs. Water on peroxide, water on peroxide. And I know that if it's still open, water on peroxide could be water on peroxide, and water and peroxide, if I'm looking at Britain, would be water and. And I know that there's that suck movement. I know that it turns my mouth up at that direction, and I also know that like water in, like, anything but Jim Carrey, because all he's going to do is, you have to be able to control it. You don't want to be like Jim Carrey and not understand how to control it. I mean, someone that's just loopy and crazy, I mean, that doesn't know how to do it won't, so, you have to learn that, and, you have to have, and I mean, it's just like smiling happy, is, like closed, and then, open would be like sad, or something, so you have to have basically open and closed words. And then you can say, when I breathe, you can put something good inside of there to breathe, instead of something bad. So you have to have a closed and open words. And that's really all I have to say about that, because I mean, everyone thinks, and everyone has blood flow, everyone has, health effects, and nobody has really gotten very far into understanding every single last bit of this stuff, but I am going to learn it, and I'm going to learn how to heal people, but not by healing people. I want to know how this shit works. I want to know how my body works, how words affect them, and I don't want to be anything else but the reason why these words are here. You know what I mean? And I mean it, you know. And so, learn how to like close yourself out from everything, how to have abstinence. Or if you're really sexual, you could have a closed, and an open, but open is when you are vulnerable, I guess you could say. So even if you have sex all the time and you're always fantasizing, like most people do, most people have to. You have to grow, you have to change a little bit, you have to modify yourself some, but you have to have a way to close yourself out all the way, so you don't have ideas that get in there that are not poetry, inside of your words. And I know it's kind of fucked up, but if someone is good but average and kind of okay, and they look like they're really, really good at what they're doing, basically all of that bad shit can pile up in a corner and look good, you know? And someone could have absolutely no idea about how to make a good song. And, I mean, when that happens, it's like they don't have closed or open, when it comes down to it. And you have to learn how that works, and there's always, something that is going to open and something that is going to close. And there has to be, full in one area and empty in the other one, so learn that. And then when these fluids go in your ears and your valves open up and start clicking, because, you feel like you're Australian a little bit, you kind of work how that works, you know, and you'll have more influence